finger or two, that's all.
I shall want to see the reports of every member of staff on duty that day, together with their personal files.
Oh, the files you can punch up on the screen here whenever you wish.
Oh, well. That's fine. I'll play with that later. Now then, about this call.
Oh, there you are, Dr. Lebrun. I'll get the call back for you.
You'll find a copy of my report to the Control Commission in front of you. I think you'll find it covers the ground.
Exhaustively. I spent a large part of the last 3 days reading it. Still, justice must be seen to be done. Lovely, that. Rolls off the tongue.
Putting you through now.
David, you old taffy son of a gun, good to see you.
Why, Bill Jackson, you haven't changed a bit.
You're as big a liar as ever. Anyway, welcome to Moonside.
Thank you.
The reports will be on your desk first thing in the morning.
Fine, great.
Hey, when can you make it over for a meal and we can talk over old times?
Well, Bill, you know I've only just arrived.
Yeah.
But I promise you, the very first chance I get, I'll be over. Oh, and Bill, listen. I've got some messages from your family. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Who's that?
I'm sorry, sir. I thought you'd still be in bed.
Oh, on a lovely morning like this?
The reports.
All right. Sleep well?
Yes, thank you.
Now, how would this be? Breakfast first. I could eat a reconstituted horse. And then give me about an hour, say, to have a little look through that lot. How many reports have you got there?
10.
Then I'll have a word with all concerned. Individually, of course. Say, quarter of an hour each?
Dr. Calder, surely that's hardly enough.
Oh, you're right, of course. 10 minutes should be ample. Bit longer with you and Hill and Smith, of course. And then you and I can have a bit of a final chat, and there we are, home and dry. With a bit of luck, we should be through by lunchtime.
Dr. Calder, an inquiry of this sort has a very definite procedure laid down by control regulations.
Yes, I've read that too. Take days. The sooner we get this wretched thing over and done with, the better for all concerned. Or do you like the feeling of a sword hanging over your head? Come and have some breakfast. On this file, I have your signature. And it says that you've noticed nothing unusual about the pilot before liftoff.
That's right.
Are you sure?
Yes.
So he was quite calm, relaxed, in control of himself?
Well, now, that's a different matter.
Oh?
Well, I mean, Harry was always a bit edgy before liftoff. Could afford to be, I suppose. A bit of a prima donna, so you understand.
I see. But not more so on this occasion.
I didn't think so at the time.
Come in.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Michel Lebrun said to come along.
No, quite right. Don't go. We've just finished. Thank you.
Afraid I haven't been much help, sir.
I didn't think so at the time.
Sorry, sir.
A scrupulously accurate gentleman, friend Rao. He's beginning to wonder now. What do you think? Do sit down.
You mean, about Harry?
Mm.
Well, there was a moment, maybe, when I should have twigged. Just before liftoff.
But you didn't.
Well, that's hardly my pitching, is it, sir? Well, I'm no trick cyclist.
But you did think that Harry was a bit, snappy?
Oh, yes, he was that all right, sir. But you see, I've sat in that seat myself. You never really get used to liftoff, you know. Some of us show it more than others, that's all.
Of course.
Well, Harry was due for leave. The tension builds up. I remember thinking...
Yes?
Well, I remember thinking the sooner Harry's earthside for a spell, the better.
Oh, I see. So he was nearer the edge than usual. Dangerously, in your opinion?
We know that now, don't we, sir?
Let's start from the beginning. You just tell me what happened. Just what you thought, just what you did.
Well, if I can, let's see. Well, Harry was irritated because the director had kept him waiting. Still, there was nothing strange in that. It was what we all expected.
Certainly I was hurrying him. He was late. He was always late. But I have nothing to reproach myself for. Everything was done according to the book.
Of course. And there was no trouble about getting Dr. Ransom's signing of Harry Sanders' authorization for liftoff.
You have it there. See for yourself.
You neither of you had any doubts. You did mention Dr. Smith's concern.
She asked me to, so I did. What could I do? Sanders had total clearance from Dr. Smith herself. The day we start running MOONBASE 3 according to the vagaries of a woman's fancy, that's the day to go back to Earth.
Well, how can I explain to you? You know some physical conditions have a characteristic smell.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Yes. It was as though Harry Sanders had the smell of paranoia. Paranoia is too strong a word, and yet look what happened.
And all the checks were normal?
Oh, completely. Given Sanders' personality profile, that is. Somewhat rigid, over-scrupulous, perfectionist, and yet all within acceptable limits. I had no reason.
Women's intuition?
I shan't rise to that, Dr. Calder.
I hope you won't. Still, you did nothing about all this.
Oh, yes, I did. You know I did. I made my feelings quite clear to Michelle. There was nothing more I could do.
Having considered all the circumstances. Stop. However, it should be made plain that
How long?
3 hours.
Didn't even have lunch.
and in my opinion, any delay could only be unfortunate in its consequences. Stop.
Director?
Get me a call to Commander Jackson at Base 1. And ask Walters to come and see me, please.
Coffee?
Would Dr. Lebrun, Dr. Smith, and Mr. Hill kindly report to the director's office as soon as possible?
Oh, I should perhaps explain that I'm not here as a judge or jury, or for that matter, as counsel for the prosecution or the defense. Now, you will understand if I say that my function is more that of an examining magistrate. I have to discover the facts and report whether or not I find a prima facie case for further action.
And do you?
On the basis of this evidence, all three of you bear responsibility for the deaths of Dr. Ransom and Harry Sanders. Mr. Hill, as an astronaut himself, was perhaps in a better position than any of you to know what the pilot was going through. He realized that Sanders needed a rest, and yet he did nothing. Because, and I quote, "That sort of thing is hardly my pigeon, is it? I'm no trick cyclist."
That's not fair, sir. You're quoting out of context.
Dr. Smith, however, is a psychiatrist, and Harry Sanders was very much her pigeon. Her intuition told her that he shouldn't fly the shuttle. Yet she somehow managed to evade her responsibility and pass on the decision to Dr. Lebrun.
And what should I have done?
You could have grounded him officially.
And what sort of a career would he have had with a negative PSR in his record? I did what I could. I told Dr. Lebrun.
My conscience is clear. Dr. Smith knew the proper procedure quite well. Everything was correct.
Correct.